never been explained to me. Nobody told me what means number 3. Nobody ever told me. And nobody, so I ended up really not knowing what numbers are, and they are expected for me to fill up the equation. And then I realized that who invented the sign of equation? What the hell that sign means? Is it equal 1 and 1 ever? I never seen anything equal in this universe. So messy, and I needed, kind of my own way, maybe, to access science and read what I can kind of understand and from it. And that's what I think. And then philosophy comes, of course, because science divided from philosophy doesn't make any sense. Like the other way around, right? Philosophy without science doesn't make any sense, and so on and so forth. So I found philosophers really, really cool guys. You should write these names, because these are people who talk about time and space. And that's the quote, when you've got nothing, you got nothing to lose. It's a Bob Dylan. One kind of philosopher, right? And really reading these people helps to understand that you are not alone. That there are these people who think that universe is not built on grids and equations and predictabilities, that there is some fluidity, some kind of unexpected things at every corner, and I think that by understanding what they say, it really helps you navigate the chaotic notions of space. And then I started working, some kind of digital graphics and learning Photoshop, and it was a new thing for me. And then I realized that instead of using the interface of Photoshop, you can make your own. And so I was kind of interested in turning digital into analog, and I started using my sketchbooks to map diagrams and information, and to find the way, how can I kind of improve my own skills, how can I learn drawing from computers, how they draw, and then basically, these drawings, these are drawings, they're not really sketchbooks. I draw them, right? And this one too. So it's like, I really wanted to make my skills at the level of my ideas, let's put it that way. I wanted to have no problems with my skills, so I can draw anything I want and then let my idea fly forward. And that's, I think, I did. And what happened is the merging of digitalization and my hand created this new kind of spaces, because I could now paste, cut anything in Photoshop, put in an image, then I could draw on it, I could go back and forward as many times as I want, and suddenly something that opened up. Some kind of conversation between virtual, what we call, and real, and some philosophers and their quotations came alive, because Gilles Deleuze was always talking about not virtual real division, but he was talking about some kind of hybrid, some kind of rhizomic space that is kind of resolving the mystery of divisions. And this phase opened up the door to my kind of post-digital drawing. And in order to make myself even more excited, I said, I'm going to use only charcoal, nothing else. I have Photoshop, I have Paint, I had all kinds of stuff, you can buy and technologies and then blah, blah, blah. And I said, why? I just need a stick. And let's say what the heck I can do with this stick. And this is what happened.
My name is Vjeko, and I think I'm a charcoalholic. I use charcoal more than 10 years. My intention to start working with charcoal was to find material that I'm going to use to break my own limits. And charcoal is my medium, and it allowed me to live in the matrix. I pass through the limits of thinking about materials. One of the most interesting techniques that I discovered is making stencils and then transferring charcoal powder with a cloth on different surfaces, and basically it creates fast visual effects that I use to construct kind of almost imaginary architecture and landscapes and spaces that are almost as if done by the digital media. And in the age of digital media, I think it's important for us to go back to hand and understand that there is a material that can be powerful as a software, as Photoshop, if you know how to use it. Just by playing with the dust. If I ask for the artistic material, I find the charcoal exchange for me paint, color, digital media, my whole visual world suddenly possible.
So this is, the outcome was suddenly what we will see at the moment. So the concept of post-digital drawing allowed me to experiment with without thinking about materials, without thinking about restrictions, without thinking about anything, just thinking about what was my intent, like a new space, this kind of post space, the quantum, new, whatever, or however we call it. And I started, using just paper and charcoal, and all this is just paper and charcoal. And as you can see, with a little bit variations of visual representation of space, because we have so many ways to represent the space, and this kind of my decision to stay within a limited source of materials allowed me expansion of the idea. So it's not a bad idea sometimes to use the rule of thumb. For example, you have many ideas, use simple medium. Or you have simple idea, use many media, whatever. But that allows you to maybe to clarify many things, not to waste time and be kind of, let's say, the word seduced by the materials. And of course, during that way, you happen to discover new ways of dealing with materials, and of course, it brings you a new aesthetics, because the limitations are some kind of, that, for example, Chinese Oriental calligraphy depends on ink and paper. If they worked with charcoal, all that will be completely different. And that's what I mean by your aesthetic is really dictated by the tools you use. So be very careful what you touch, right? And this is what happened to me. This kind of aesthetic started popping up. And of course, an interesting body of work starts appearing in front of my own eyes. And this is exactly what happened. The first drawings that I did about 10 years ago were outcome of meditations. And if I try to explain this, how I did it, and it would be almost impossible. It would be almost like, well, Einstein said, he said, God is not playing dice with the universe. And I say, yes, he does. And this is exactly what I felt, like God is playing dice with me. These drawings were like coffee breaks, like 1 hour long, at least, something like that. And I would vanish. I would try to vanish to just, no sound, no people, nothing in a busy coffee shop. I know that moment when I don't hear, don't see, I'm there. And then I'll try to put a line on my page. And then I'll try to remove myself completely. I don't know how to say that, but I try to vanish from vanishing. And then it happened that another line came to the page, some other line. I let the line happen, right? And then I put myself again in the mode of like I'm playing chess with a god. Oh my goodness, it's something, and I put another line. Here you go. And then I waited for the answer, and another answer. So these drawings were 3 lines in 1 hour, or something like that. And they could be called, I don't know, meditations, or I don't know. but why should I call them anyway? This is the first time I actually captured the void. I captured these dimensions that I see somewhere in my mind, and they were floating and zooming and flying, and I made them visible on a page. So for me, the plane of paper, that's what happened, disappeared. I didn't sense the presence of the surface of the paper at all. It is actually, what you are looking at is the projection of the activities and energies of the void. And the series provided me a couple of hundred of these pieces, and then I stopped making them because I was interested in some other things. And this is the one generation of compressed voids that came. These works now ended up being results of thinking about actual space and drawing the space in between the things. For example, if I would like to draw what happens here in between these two screens and the microphone and me. So I'm talking here, blah, 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 blah. So the energy, these screens are radiating some energies very, here in this space. And here, if I had a chance to visualize at this point what happens, that's what I drew. So I was drawing the activities and compressing the activities of the void into very kind of shapes. But also, it's very important to say that your intuition kicks in here, and all the inexplicable get registered, which is really weird. And that's something that it's a zone of speculation. That people, when we start talking about this, it's almost talking about spirituality, religion, and there is lots of conceptions and misconceptions and misunderstandings when it gets to the point, because simply we all have our own point of view. And this is just a charcoal interpretation of the collisions of energies that encounter themselves, like making molds of compressions of the spatial activities. Then I got interested in revisiting basics, because when I studied Kandinsky and his notion of how he established the foundation course for the Bauhaus, he actually started with dot line plane, wrote a book about it, and started with simple basics, which became a language of modern art. And we know that his synesthesia helped him to articulate this concept, but it all starts, if you want to change the world, that's what I mean, you start from the dots, right? You cannot start from your t-shirt. So this is what happens. Revisiting the plane was, first of all, the notion of paper and the plane is something that you can fold, you can cut, you can destruct, destroy, attack. And I started using, really like a cutting the surfaces and combining it with the drawing. So this perforation created a new kind of line that is more like architectural, structural penetration line. It's like a Lucio Fontana. I don't know if you know the guy who smashed the canvas, sliced the canvas, and in order to break the canvas. So all these ideas started piling together. Definitely, I wanted to get rid of the plane. And combination of these drawings allowed me to gain a new kind of clarity about my own aesthetics. And what I was looking at, you will see already, is something kind of hybrid, mix of natural and artificial, and all kinds of things. I was looking for synthesis. I was looking for my own style within a style, and I wanted to create a style that can be merged, can do anything. So one day I can say, oh, I can make ceramics, yeah, I can make a design for a hat, I can make a shoes, I can make a house, I can make a computer, I can make anything. And that was my attempt. Some kind of like universal expressiveness that will fit with what I was dealing with. And this is what happened with the landscape. These are my landscapes, synthetic landscapes.